10 power ballads, 10 moments where everything changed. You already know these songs. You've heard them from car windows, in the back half of a long drive, on late night radio when you couldn't sleep and didn't want to. You've heard them so many times they feel like part of you. But here's what you probably don't know. Almost every one of these songs almost didn't exist. Labels tried to kill them. Bandmates called them stupid. Some sat unreleased for years. A few were originally written for completely different artists, and then the world heard them and nothing was the same. Starting at number 10, here's what actually happened. Number 10, Night Ranger, Sister Christian, 1984. There's a power ballad from 1984 that opens with a quiet piano and a man singing to his little sister. It became one of the defining songs of a decade. And here's the first thing you need to know. The title was a mistake. Night Ranger, San Francisco, 1982. Hard rock band still mostly playing opening slots when their drummer, Kelly Keagy, sat down with an acoustic guitar and wrote something that had nothing to do with power chords or big hair. He just visited his younger sister, Christy, in Eugene, Oregon. She was in high school. He was watching her grow up fast, watching her navigate boys, watching her make choices that mattered. And he wanted to say something, not in a phone call, in a song. He called it Sister Christy, his sister's actual name. When the band started working it up, on the bassist Jack Blades heard it and said, "Wait, are you singing Sister Christian?" Keagy wasn't, but the name stuck. Even then, the label wasn't sure. A slow-building ballad from the drummer who doesn't usually sing lead. And Keagy had one condition. It had to be him on vocals, not Blades, who carried most of the singing, because the emotional weight only worked if you believed a real brother was actually talking to his sister. You cannot fake that. You know that feeling when you watch someone you love step into territory you can't protect them from? All you can say is, "I see you. Be careful, I'm still here." That's Sister Christian, not a love song, something harder than a love song. And the word motorin', everybody wondered about in Eugene, Oregon. That meant cruising around in cars with your friends at night. The whole chorus is a big brother asking his sister, "What are you going to trade away looking for the wrong person?" Sister Christian peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1984 and stayed on the charts for 24 weeks. It took Night Ranger from opening act to headliner almost overnight. And it was one of the first moments in the decade when a hard rock band picked up an acoustic guitar and sang something completely vulnerable. And the audience didn't just accept it, they needed it. And if you've ever tried to explain to someone who wasn't there why this song still hits, you already know there are no words for it. You just have to play it. Number 9, Rio Speedwagon, Can't Fight This Feeling, 1985. Kevin Cronin wrote the first verse of this song in 1973. He couldn't finish it for 11 years. And when he finally played the finished version for his bandmates, you know what they called it? That stupid ballad, REO Speedwagon, Champaign, Illinois, a band grinding since 1967 before finally breaking through in 1981 with Keep On Loving You. Real momentum. And then things got harder. Radio was changing, MTV was changing, and here was Cronin still carrying around a half-finished song from over a decade ago. The origin was simple and painful. He'd fallen for a woman who was dating one of his friends. Irish Catholic upbringing, you don't say anything, you keep a bright face, everything's fine. He wrote those verses in one very emotional night and captured what he called lightning in a bottle. But he couldn't write the chorus. He said it plainly. The truth is, I hadn't lived the chorus yet. The song sat incomplete for years. He planned to co-write the ending with Eric Carmen from the Raspberries, woke up sick the morning of the session, canceled, and then thought, no, this one's mine. I can't share it. He finished it in Hawaii in 1984 on the floor of his bedroom, he said, crying and sweating, and the chorus finally came, along with a title he hated and a bridge line. It's time to pull this ship into the shore. He knew he'd take grief for forever. He used it anyway. His bandmates called it that stupid ballad. The label felt the same way. Not REO Speedwagon, too slow, too soft. During March 1985, #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks. That summer, they performed it at Live Aid in front of 100,000 people in Philadelphia. That stupid ballad. Songs that take 11 years to write contain more than one feeling. They contain whole chapters of a life. And if you've ever wanted to say something to someone and couldn't find the courage until it was almost too late, you heard that chorus and something shifted. You can't buy that. You have to earn it.
Let's look at the numbers. Only 9% of you are actually subscribed. Honestly, that's tough to see. Our team spends days hunting down archives and verifying every single fact just to tell these stories right. If you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the community, so please hit subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us immensely. Now, for those already subscribed, very few of you have made the jump to our membership, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're the ones who know our value best. If this channel has moved you or inspired you, consider joining. It's the price of one coffee, but it's the literal fuel for this channel. Let's keep this alive together. Back to the story.
Number 8, Scorpions, Still Loving You, 1984. This song peaked at number 64 in the United States. That is not a misprint, but in France, it went to number 1. And the French government, the actual official government, documented that it triggered a measurable baby boom. The Scorpions, Hanover, Germany, in the business since 1965, legitimate hard rock pioneers in Europe long before America knew the name. By 1984, Rock You Like a Hurricane had broken them in the U.S. But what they hadn't shown the world yet was what happened when they slowed all the way down. Here's the timeline. Guitarist Rudolf Schenker had the melody for Still Loving You since 1976, 8 years. But the lead guitarist at the time, Uli John Roth, rejected it. Too commercial, not Scorpions. The song was shelved. Then in 1983, Matthias Jabs brought a guitar part that finally made the melody click. And Klaus Meine, who had survived a serious sinus infection that had doctors questioning whether his singing career was over, walked out into a snow-covered field one day and came back with lyrics. "I went out into the fields in the snow," Schenker recalled Meine telling him, and the words just came. The lyric is about love that's slipping, not broken yet, but on the edge. Time, it needs time to win back your love again. And if you've ever been in a relationship where you could feel the distance growing and just kept fighting anyway, you know that's not poetry. That's a specific Tuesday night when the Scorpions appeared on French television after the song became a phenomenon. Friend of the host told them on air, "You are responsible for the baby boom of 1985. They assumed he was joking. He wasn't. It had been studied and confirmed. Still Loving You sold 1.7 million copies in France alone. The album went triple platinum in the U.S. And that melody Uli John Roth called Too Commercial in 1976 became one of the most emotionally devastating guitar passages of the entire decade. That's what Too Commercial looks like from the other side. Number 7, Cinderella, Don't Know What You've Got Till It's Gone, 1988. This band was discovered by John Bon Jovi. The drums on their biggest ballad were secretly played by a completely different drummer. The song was written 3 years before anyone heard it, and within a few years of its release, the man who sang it would be told by doctors that he would never sing again. Cinderella, Philadelphia, 1982. 4 guys playing clubs when John Bon Jovi caught one of their sets and walked them into Mercury Records. Their debut album, Night Songs, went triple platinum in 1986. Tom Kiefer wrote Don't Know What You've Got in 1985, right after they got signed on an absolute high, he said. And something about that feeling, that moment before you've had a chance to lose anything, made him write a song about loss. Some people have that kind of foresight. Some people don't. Kiefer wrote it down. The song sat on the shelf for 3 years. When they finally came to record it for Long Cold Winter in 1988, producer Andy Johns, the engineer behind Led Zeppelin's When the Levee Breaks, decided the band's drummer wasn't quite right for the groove he had in mind. Cozy Powell laid down the drums instead. Cozy Powell, who'd played with Jeff Beck and Black Sabbath. The enormous cavernous drum sound on Cinderella's most emotional song wasn't even their drummer. They also cut the track too fast and had to restart using Verispeed, adjusting playback speed, which altered the pitch of the drums. That's where that huge, strange drum sound comes from. A happy accident. The video was shot at Mono Lake in Northern California in sub-zero temperatures before sunrise. Kiefer sat at a grand piano on the beach for hours. Says he got frostbite on his hands. Says it was worth it. The song peaked at number 12 in November 1988. It exploded on MTV. It's still their biggest hit. And here's what I can shake. The man who wrote Don't Know What You've Got Till It's Gone would later lose his voice to a neurological condition, go through 6 surgeries, and spend years being told it was permanent. He brought it back. He still plays that song live, says it brings the house down every night. I'd agree. Number 6, Heart Alone, 1987.
On the telephone.
This song was 4 years old before Hart ever heard it. It had already been recorded and released by another group, went nowhere, sat collecting dust, and then Ann Wilson opened her mouth, and it became something that every singer for the next 30 years would try to cover and never quite land. Hart, Ann, and Nancy Wilson, a band where the female front person wasn't the novelty. She was the reason the room went quiet. Ann Wilson had one of the most complete voices in rock history. But by the mid-'80s, Hart was in transition. The raw, bluesy rock of Barracuda had given way to something more commercial, and not everyone was happy about it. Then came Bad Animals, 1987. And a cover of a song called Alone. It was written in 1983 by Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly, the duo behind Madonna's Like a Virgin, Cyndi Lauper's True Colors, and Whitney Houston's So Emotional. They'd recorded it under the name I-10 on an album that disappeared instantly. Steinberg said he'd grown to hate the song. When producer Ron Nevison told Tom Kelly he was working on the next Heart album, Kelly pitched Alone with one condition. They had to rewrite the opening of the chorus. I always fared well on my own became, till now, I always got by on my own. One hell vowel. That single change transformed the emotional architecture of the whole song. Kelly sang all the high harmonies on the recording himself. But those harmonies were furniture. What Ann Wilson built on top of them was something else. There's a moment in Alone, the key change, the final chorus opening up, where Ann Wilson doesn't just hit a note. She goes somewhere beyond the note, a sound that comes from below technique. When you hear it for the first time, something happens in your chest that you weren't expecting. And if you're nodding right now, if you know exactly which moment I'm talking about, you're not alone. I heard it too. I still hear it. Alone hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in July 1987 and held for 3 weeks. Number 3 in the UK, Steinberg and Kelly hated the song they'd written. I-10's version had flopped. And then Ann Wilson proved that what makes a great song great has nothing to do with whoever wrote it. It has to do with whoever needs it most. You know which version you hear in your head. You've always known. That's 6. Here's what unites the next 5. You don't know how long I have waited. Number 5, Whitesnake, Is This Love, 1987. Times like these can make it on my own. By the time Is This Love peaked at number 2 in the United States, David Coverdale had fired every member of his band, every single one. He was $4 million in debt. He wasn't sure his voice was ever coming back. Whitesnake, 1978. Coverdale, former Deep Purple vocalist, building something new over nearly a decade. A real audience in the UK, cult status in Japan. Then, through the early 80s, the whole thing started collapsing. Members left. A brutal sinus infection caused his septum to collapse. Surgery. Weeks where he couldn't sing. When the 1987 album finally came together, he was the last one standing. And the ballad that launched them globally, he originally wrote it for someone else. Before leaving for a writing retreat in the south of France, I contacted EM. I told him, Tina Turner needs material. Her What's Love Got to Do with It comeback had been massive, and the label was looking for more of that. Keep an eye out. So Coverdale started writing a soft, romantic ballad, something Turner could deliver. He was working at a rented villa when guitarist John Sykes walked in, heard it, and without being asked, he started developing a guitar part around the melody. This one's for Tina, not us, Coverdale said. Sykes didn't stop. What started to emerge was something else entirely. The guitar color Sykes added changed the whole character of the piece. The label heard the result and said, keep it for Whitesnake. And here's what gets me. John Sykes had already been fired by the time the song was released. He was gone, but he'd insisted on finishing his guitar solo. That solo, one of the most melodically beautiful guitar moments of the entire decade, was played by a man who'd already been dismissed from the band. He came back to finish what he'd started because the song deserved it. Is This Love hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in late 1987. The Whitesnake album sold over 8 million copies in the United States alone. 9 years as a UK cult act, $4 million in debt, fired everybody. And then a song written for someone else turned into the biggest moment of the whole career. And whether that trade-off was worth it, I'll let you decide. Number 4, Aerosmith, Angel, 1987. By 1986, most of the music industry had already moved on from Aerosmith. Drug and alcohol addiction had fractured the band. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry weren't speaking. They'd gone from arenas to secondary clubs. Most people in the business assumed they were finished, and then they got sober. And then came Permanent Vacation, and then came Angel. Aerosmith, Boston, 1970. You know the 70s story. Dream On, Walk This Way, one of the most viscerally powerful hard rock sounds ever built. And then the collapse, years of addiction that left the band barely functional. Perry left, started the Joe Perry Project. Tyler was barely coherent. The catalog was there, the band wasn't. Then slowly, sobriety, reunion, and in 1987, Permanent Vacation, the album that changed the trajectory of their entire second act. Angel was written by Steven Tyler and Desmond Child, the same Desmond Child who'd co-written Living on a Prayer and You Give Love a Bad Name for Bon Jovi a year earlier. But this was a different kind of song, not a stadium anthem, something slow and quiet and completely still. After years of hearing Tyler scream, and he is one of the great screamers in rock history, hearing him completely quiet is almost disorienting. The song doesn't build to a wall of sound. It rises slowly, holds the emotion, and lets the voice do all the work. That restraint sounds deliberate because it was. This was a band that had come back from a place most people don't come back from, and they weren't going to waste the moment on volume. Angel became one of Aerosmith's biggest crossover hits in years, cracking the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. But more than the chart position, it shifted how the world thought about the band. This wasn't nostalgia. This wasn't a band holding on. This was a comeback that had something to say, and the discipline to say it quietly. Pump followed. Get a Grip followed that. Aerosmith became one of the dominant acts of the 1990s. None of that story begins without the sobriety, and none of it begins without a power ballad that whispered instead of shouted. Number 3, Poison, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, 1988.
I said something I did my words not come out right?
He wrote it in a laundromat in Dallas at 3 a.m. on a yellow legal pad. The label said it would end their career. Radio stations said they wouldn't touch it. It became the number 1 song in America on Christmas Eve, 1988. Poison, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. 4 guys in a Winnebago touring on their debut album, playing bars and opening slots for Rat and Cinderella. Sleeping in that van. This was 1987. Things were moving, but slowly. One night after a show in Dallas, Bret Michaels found a payphone in a laundromat and called his girlfriend back home in Los Angeles. She answered, and in the background he heard another man's voice. He sat down at a table in that laundromat with his acoustic guitar and a yellow legal pad and spent hours writing. There are like a bazillion verses I edited down, he said years later. I still have the yellow legal pad. The metaphor wrote itself. The Rose was his career finally taking off. Everything he'd worked for was happening. The thorn was what it was costing him at home. Simple, brutal, true.
I know I could have saved the love that night if I'd known what to say.
When Poison played the finished song for Capitol Records, the room wasn't enthusiastic. This was a party hard, big hair, talk dirty to me band. And here was their singer with one acoustic guitar singing about a breakup. The label pushed it back, made it the third single after two pop metal anthems had already moved the album past 3 million copies. Even then, radio barely responded. It was a country station in Dallas, fitting, that was the first to play it. Not rock radio, country. And then it crossed over. Number 1 pop, number 1 rock, top 40 country, all at once. A triple crossover that Michaels said was unheard of at the time. The album hit 5 times platinum. Every Rose Has Its Thorn is Poison's only number 1 hit. Some of y'all heard this song for the first time in a very specific place. You know the one, and you know exactly what you felt. Bret Michaels says he still gets goosebumps performing it, not because it was a hit, because it was the most honest he'd ever been, written at 3 a.m. in a laundromat in Dallas when there was nobody around to impress and nothing left to hide. Number 2, Def Leppard, Love Bites, 1988.
Just touch and see.
When Love Bites reached number 1 in the United States, Def Leppard had never once played that song together in a single room, not one rehearsal, not one run-through. When it hit number 1, they rented a rehearsal space just to learn how to perform their own chart-topping single live. Def Leppard, Sheffield, England, 1977. Rick Allen, the drummer, was 15 years old when he joined. By the early 80s, Pyromania had sold 10 million copies. They were one of the biggest bands on the planet. Then, on New Year's Eve, 1984, Rick Allen's car went off a road in England and he lost his left arm. Most bands lose a drummer in that situation. Most bands rebuild with someone new. What Def Leppard chose to do instead, while recording an album the world was waiting for, is one of the most remarkable decisions in rock history. They waited. They worked with Simmons Drum Company to build a custom electronic kit Allen could play one-handed, using his feet to trigger what his left arm used to do. The album was only going to happen if Rick Allen was on it. The album was Hysteria, 43 months in production. Joe Elliott caught mumps during the sessions. Producer Mutt Lange had his own car accident. Love Bites started as a country ballad Long played on acoustic guitar. The band's immediate reaction was that it sounded like the Eagles, not them. Long kept going. The song was recorded in separate pieces, different parts, different sessions, and assembled by Long after the fact. Those backing vocals, mostly Long, not the band. That whispered, yes it does, and bloody hell at the very end, run through a vocoder. That's Mutt Lange. The band never stood together in a room and played the song. In October 1988, Def Leppard held both the number 1 single and the number 1 album simultaneously on the Billboard charts. Hysteria has since been certified 12 times platinum in the United States, one of the 50 best-selling albums of all time in this country. And at the center of all of it, Rick Allen, one arm, playing a kit that had never existed before he needed it. Playing it so well that if you don't know the story, you'd never know. Here's what I keep coming back to. Love Bites is a song about the cost of loving someone, what it does to you when you let it in. And it was written and recorded by a band that already knew, in hospital rooms, in rehabilitation, in years of patience most people would have walked away from. exactly what real cost feels like. When you know the story, the song hits differently. It has always been asking the same question. Number 1, Foreigner. I Want to Know What Love Is, 1984.
I gotta take a little time.
8 years, 6 top 10 singles, not one number 1, the most famous near miss in rock chart history. And then, one night in 1984, alone at home at 3 in the morning, Mick Jones sat down and wrote the song that knocked both Band Aid and Madonna off the top spot on 2 different continents in the same month. Foreigner's first and only number 1 ever after 8 years of trying. Foreigner, British American rock band, 1976. Mick Jones and Lou Gramm, 6 top 10 singles. And in 1981, Waiting for a Girl Like You, a song that spent 10 consecutive weeks at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. First blocked by Olivia Newton-John's Physical, then held back by Hall & Oates' I Can't Go For That. 10 weeks. That song holds the record to this day for the longest a single stayed in number 2 without ever reaching number 1.
Oh, yeah.
So when Jones came in with a new ballad in 1984, Lou Gramm was worried. He thought it would push them too far into adult contemporary territory, away from the rock identity they'd spent 8 years building. Jones's response later was simple. I can never really think that having a worldwide number 1 would be detrimental to a band.
Now you can show me.
Jones had written it at 3 in the morning. It started as a personal song, years of failed relationships, still searching for something that could endure. And then during the recording, it transformed into something he said felt almost spiritual. He'd added layers and realized somewhere in the middle of it that he'd written something closer to a prayer than a rock song.
Keeps me warm as life grows colder.
He considered giving it to Aretha Franklin. Let that sit for a second. He thought this song might belong to someone else. Instead, he booked the New Jersey Mass Choir, a gospel group that had never sung on a pop record before in their lives. Before recording, the choir gathered in the studio and recited the Lord's Prayer together. Jones said what came out of the microphones after that was completely different from anything that came before. Jennifer Holliday, the Broadway star of Dreamgirls, happened to be recording in the same building that day. She added her voice. Tom Bailey from the Thompson Twins played keyboards on the track, and Ahmet Ertegun, the legendary Atlantic Records president, the man who signed Ray Charles and Led Zeppelin, reportedly cried when he heard the finished recording for the first time. January 1985. I Want to Know What Love Is knocked Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas off the top of the UK charts. Weeks later, it knocked Madonna's Like a Virgin from number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Number 1, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Norway, Sweden. They're only number 1 after 8 years, after 6 near misses, after 10 brutal weeks stuck at number 2. And I keep coming back to this. Jones had been that close. 10 weeks stuck at 2, watching other singles pass him to the top for years before this song. And when he finally wrote the one that broke through, he opened it up completely. He brought in a gospel choir who had never sung pop music. He let Jennifer Holliday in from down the hall. He wrote something that felt spiritual and didn't sand the edges off. He trusted it, and that's when it finally reached the world.